The shocking fallout from Backlash, Jacob Fatu's US title defense and the Bloodline's empire ascends. Ladies and gentlemen, we're coming off one of the most shocking events in WWE history. The 2025 Backlash pay-per-view left fans absolutely speechless as chaos erupted, alliances shifted, and a storm descended upon the United States Championship scene. What started as a routine fatal four-way match for the prestigious US title turned into a mind-bending, high-stakes battle that changed the entire trajectory of WWE's future. Jacob Fatu, the Bloodline's most lethal force, was defending his United States Championship, but what went down in that ring that night wasn't just about a title. It was about power, dominance, and a new era emerging from the shadows. This wasn't just a match. This was a declaration. A statement that the Bloodline isn't just a family, it's a rising empire. So, let's break down every jaw-dropping moment of Backlash, including the explosive debut that no one saw coming. The Enforcer. Jeff Cobb. The build-up and challenger's motivation. The story leading up to Backlash was one of tension, taunts, and tactical moves. Fans could feel the air thick with anticipation long before the opening bell. For weeks, the WWE Universe watched as Jacob Fatu, under the banner of the Bloodline, successfully defended his United States Championship against anyone who dared to challenge him. But on this night, it was different. He wasn't facing just one man. He wasn't even facing two. This was a four-way battle, a match that would put every single competitor to the test. Let's break down the players in this war for supremacy. LA Knight. Known for his razor-sharp tongue and over-the-top bravado, LA Knight had spent weeks publicly mocking the Bloodline. He taunted their very existence, promising to burn their dynasty to the ground with his charisma, his unmatched confidence, and of course, his catchphrase that sent crowds into a frenzy, "Yeah." But there was more to Knight than just words. He was a force, determined to prove that the era of the Bloodline was coming to an end, and he had his eyes set firmly on the US title. Drew McIntyre. A former WWE champion with a chip on his shoulder, McIntyre's frustration was palpable. For months, he had struggled to regain his place at the top of WWE, constantly falling short of reclaiming championship gold. Backlash represented his chance for redemption. A win over Fatu would solidify McIntyre as the dominant force he once was, and perhaps even serve as a stepping stone to something greater. But standing in his way was the Bloodline, and their grip on WWE was tighter than ever. Damian Priest. Coming off Judgment Day's internal turmoil, Damian Priest was now free to carve out his own path. The self-proclaimed Archer of Infamy was ready to claim his place at the top. The US title was a perfect opportunity for him to show the world that he didn't need anyone else to succeed. But as the night progressed, it was clear that Priest wasn't just fighting for gold, he was fighting to prove a point. To everyone. To himself. To the Bloodline. The chaos unleashed. The bell rang, and immediately, all hell broke loose. What began as a typical multi-man match quickly spiraled into absolute chaos. Weapons were brought into play early. Chairs collided with skulls, and before anyone could catch their breath, the announce table was destroyed within minutes. McIntyre and Knight, two of the most powerful superstars in WWE, temporarily formed an uneasy alliance to neutralize Fatu. The sheer power of these two behemoths was overwhelming, and for a brief moment, it looked like the Bloodline's grip on the match might slip. But just as things seemed to turn in favor of the challengers, it was Damian Priest who stepped in. Priest, showing off his agility and precision, took out both Knight and McIntyre in a matter of seconds, using his sharp tactics to dismantle both men with brutal force. For a moment, it seemed like this match would become a one-on-one contest between him and Jacob Fatu for the US title. But just as the momentum shifted, something unexpected happened, something that no one could have predicted. As Priest tried to capitalize, Solo Sikoa, the enforcer of the Bloodline, rushed to ringside, his presence felt like a storm. Sakoa's brutal assault on Damian Priest tipped the scales in favor of the Bloodline. But that wasn't the end of it. No, not by a long shot. The unholy debut of Jeff Cobb. Just when it seemed like Jacob Fatu was on the verge of losing control of the match, something completely unexpected happened. The arena lights dimmed, and a new, ominous presence entered the scene. At first, fans didn't know what to make of it, until the figure stepped into the spotlight. Ladies and gentlemen, we were witnessing the jaw-dropping debut of Jeff Cobb, the international powerhouse and seasoned enforcer. Cobb had long been rumored to join WWE, but nobody could have predicted this. His arrival wasn't just an appearance, it was a game-changer. Jeff Cobb, like a well-oiled machine, quickly went to work, turning the tide in the Bloodline's favor. His raw power and ruthless aggression were on full display as he obliterated all three of Fatu's challengers. McIntyre, Knight, and Priest were mere victims in Cobb's path of destruction. He wasn't just helping the Bloodline retain the US title, he was making a statement that could be heard around the world. The Bloodline wasn't just a family anymore, it was a growing empire, and Jeff Cobb was its newest enforcer. The rise of the Bloodline Empire. As the match reached its crescendo, Jacob Fatu stood tall, with his US title in hand. But it wasn't just a title defense, it was an evolution. The Bloodline had proven that they weren't just a faction fighting for survival. They were a force rising, ready to dominate every inch of WWE. With Solo Sikoa's ruthless interference and the arrival of Jeff Cobb, the Bloodline had made it clear that they weren't just here to play, they were here to conquer. The shift in power was undeniable. LA Knight's charisma, Drew McIntyre's ambition, and Damian Priest's desire to prove himself were no match for the raw, unrelenting power of the Bloodline. But here's the most important thing, this wasn't just a victory for Jacob Fatu. It wasn't just a title defense. This was the first step in a much larger plan. A plan that involves not just dominating WWE's current champions, but taking over every championship in sight. And as for Jeff Cobb, well, let's just say this is the beginning of something far more dangerous than anyone could have predicted. The implications for WWE. So, what does all of this mean for WWE moving forward? Well, the implications are huge. The Bloodline has always been a dominant faction, but with the addition of Jeff Cobb, the stakes have risen exponentially. Every championship in WWE is now in the crosshairs of the Bloodline. And let's not forget the other challengers, LA Knight, Drew McIntyre, and Damian Priest. They're not going away anytime soon. Each of them will be looking for a rematch, an opportunity to prove that they can take down Fatu and the Bloodline. But with Jeff Cobb in the picture, those chances seem slimmer than ever. Backlash was a night that will go down in history as the moment the Bloodline fully ascended into an empire. Jacob Fatu's US title defense wasn't just a match, it was the declaration of a new era. And with Jeff Cobb by their side, the future of WWE will never be the same. But the biggest question remains, who will rise up to challenge the dominance of the Bloodline? Will LA Knight, Drew McIntyre, or Damian Priest find a way to take them down? Or has the Bloodline already solidified its stranglehold over WWE? Stay tuned, because the Empire is just getting started. Thanks for watching this deep dive into the explosive events at Backlash. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more WWE news, analysis, and all the latest breaking stories. This is Wrestling News CC, and we'll see you next time. If you thought tonight's story was wild, trust me, what happens next will blow your mind. So don't stop now. Click on the video right here on your screen to continue the chaos, the drama, and the inside scoop only we deliver. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and join the Wrestling News CC family, where the real stories of WWE come to life. See you in the next one.